we were already leveraging a lot of the key elements that are powering some of these generative AI applications. So from foundation models to transformer architecture. So that allow us, when there was this boom of democratization, public eye all on these technologies, call it quote unquote ChatGPT, and to have a pretty pragmatic reaction to it.
Hi, I'm Esther.
And I'm Sean.
I write about AI news here at Tech Target in Massachusetts.
And I edit Esther's stories.
We're here to talk with tech experts about everything AI and ChatGPT.
And don't forget about Google Bard.
Whether it's who's ahead in the generative AI race, the metaverse, digital twins, or even the latest in autonomous vehicles, we've got it covered. Right, Sean?
Yep, we've got it covered.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Targeting AI podcast. Today, we are speaking with Tulia Plumitha, Director of Machine Learning at Wayfair. Tulia has been at Wayfair for 8 years. Before then, she was an operations research specialist at Bridge, vendor of a SaaS platform for public transit management. To prepare for her current field, Tulia studied electrical engineer as an undergrad and for her master's. Thank you so much for joining us on today's podcast, Tulia.
And
Okay, so I'm lucky enough to get the first question. All right, so how did Wayfair get started with machine learning? Because I think you were one of the first big e-commerce enterprises to really use it on a large scale. And what was your first application, and how has that use of machine learning and AI grown in the company?
Wayfair machine learning started, just to put it, temporal, and it started around, I would say, around 2014, 2015. And I think the pretty cool thing is that it started with this notion of, it was not about the coolness of it. It was about, we think this is a lever to drive better unit economics, period. Like, we think we can make better business, make our dollars go longer if we actually optimize leveraging this toolkit. So where we started, the natural fit there was we were building our brand. As we're spending a lot of money in marketing, and we want to make sure that we are targeting and reaching the audiences that are gonna resonate best with the value proposition that we're bringing to the market. So, and how can we make sure that if we have $1, we're spending that in the best possible way when it came to creating awareness that there was this place that you can come and buy anything that you need for your home. And so our first application was basically around in building that toolkit. How do we buy TV campaigns? We used to have an agency in house. We used to produce our own commercials, and we needed to equip these buyers to make decisions on, should you buy 8 p.m. CNN versus the Today Show at X time and of the day. And we did that leveraging machine learning. Then from there, there was the notion of we need to bid, like when someone is looking for a red sofa, how much should we be paying for that? Like, how should we think about that? And then from there, you can imagine almost every marketing channel that we could be thinking about. This will be a place where people who will be, who our value proposition will resonate with them will be. Then, how can we reach to them in the most efficient way? So that was where we started. The whole thing was really focused there. Then in parallel, we launched a lot of efforts on pricing. Actually, how do we price algorithmically? And understanding that if we change, our prices by X%, how is that going to shape the demand? So those were really the two kind of enclave of science back in the day. A lot there, just to not go any longer. The key thing for us was keeping ourselves very tied to the business outcomes that we were driving. So you launch a new algorithm, you gotta test it. You gotta be able to say that this new algorithm, it's better than the previous one, drive more, move the KPIs that we're looking in the right direction. And I think that was actually the thing that closed really the loop of, you see it as a business lever, you put a bet, you actually do the investments, and then you actually keep yourself honest, like measure that you're actually, getting the ROI that you're looking from those investments.
So what exactly was, I guess, made you guys feel like we are successful in this? Because you mentioned, okay, we started with advertising. Then we're like, okay, pricing is also good. Because I'm kind of wondering with the pricing, how did you remain competitive while still using the algorithm to kind of price your stuff? How have you grown since that time?
Perfect. So I'd say the how we know we were being successful on this, as I say, it's like a pretty strong experimentation culture. So the pricing algorithm is going to be a bit more complicated. So I'm going to just the very basic of you are deciding, on or you're bidding algorithms. So imagine you are launching a new algorithm that it's trying to figure out the cadence at which we are sending emails. Okay, should we be sending, emails every 2 hours, every 3 hours, and what worked for Sean, what worked for Esther? Like it's going to be very different. And so you basically, split your population into groups in which one it's going to use the old way of deciding how frequently to send emails, and the other one is going to receive, the new way of, thinking about emails. And then at the end of the day, you look at, which one brought, more revenue, or which one, and have more openings. Like whatever is that success metric was a way of saying, okay, I think the new development that we did, it's bringing more money. So more users are opening the email with the new cadence. Less users are unsubscribing with the new cadence. We think, we can roll out this new way. So like that notion of you do something, you go and you test it, and you come back with data saying this, it's a better solution. It drives better outcomes. That was pretty much the mode across, the expansion of ML applications at Wayfair. So let me talk about the evolution. You asked me, how has it grown from those early days? I think there has been, an expansion pretty much across every single, part of our platform. And we have something that has been powered by machine learning, from how suppliers are adding products to the catalog to when you land on our site, pretty much every single decision. What should we show you? In which order we are showing things? The filters that you get to click and say, hey, I'm looking for a motor sofa. All of that is powered by machine learning today at Wayfair. So that the evolution was pretty much expansion of this experiment across pretty much every corner of the platform. I think there's also been an evolution in how do we invest. So we started with this very use case centric approach, and will that continue to be the primary way of thinking about, where should we be investing our ML resources? Then there was also this starting to make investments that are more foundational. So we start investing in a machine learning platform. Like, how do we make these resources, be a lot more, go a lot longer, go faster, and developer velocity, foundational investments, on the ML side, and while still keeping an eye on, we're doing this to drive, better business outcomes. So that balancing of the portfolio to be not only use case centric, but actually all the things that are going to enable us to unlock more use cases without, growing linearly. The organization was part of that evolution. Yeah, I would say those are pretty much, organizational evolution. How do we think about investments, and then basically the expansion of ML applications across the entirety of them.
So, what are some of the, I guess, risks and challenges that you guys as encountered from the start of your machine learning journey, and how have you addressed those challenges?
One of the risks that, when you think about expanding this, so you start very successfully in some areas, they have the perfect ingredients to actually be the right ecosystem to grow your ML investments. And you start thinking about, where do we expand? Then you start finding that, not every area of the platform, not every corner is equally suitable for ML applications or equally ready. It's the data there. It's the organization, ready for it. And so managing through that judicious, path on where do you invest next, and then ensuring that you are, understanding the heterogeneity of those new areas of investment. So just think about when, you're deciding on where to bid, like how much to bid for a particular, keyword. There is little of a human, interacting there. Like in expectation, you need to be right. Like you need to make more money than, with your old way of doing it. And now imagine that you are helping a supplier to add products into their catalog. And then, getting it wrong is actually like not good. So if someone is trying to, buy a leather sofa, and we call a full leather sofa, the customer is going to be really, really disappointed. And this is going to be a really bulky, item in their home. So the how we use machine learning to power those decisions become a bit more of, hey, should we assist a human that is trying to make those decisions, providing them recommendations, so we make it a lot easier for them, faster for them to, make that product addition. But the path to fully automate it become a path that is a bit more, crawl, walk, and run. So those were, the how you go from I have nothing to automation has a completely different trajectory depending on what problem are you tackling. So that's I think a risk to mitigate and manage expectations, making sure you are actually setting up this journey in a way that at the end you're going to achieve the outcomes that you that are expected by the organization. Then I think another piece there it's understanding when are you hitting diminishing returns. Okay, so you start your investments, you start, from 0 to 1, you get amazing outcomes from launching a new algorithm. How do you set mechanisms that allow you to say, okay, maybe here it's probably an area in which we need to start diversifying, diverting some of our investments. I think that's one that I think is pretty hard because the field is evolving so rapidly that there is always something new coming, and you're like, I think I can move the needle even further here. I think but as you reach maturity and you need to make economic decisions around where do you invest, and that's one that I would say we have been pretty keen, or at least asking ourselves the question, like, are we investing in the right things, in where do we think we're hitting diminishing returns, and then being thoughtful around that investment management. And I think the last one is actually the value proposition for retention and acquisition of talent. Like we want like what make Wafer special and to attract this scientific population that want to stay with us. Like if you think about development cycles in science are pretty lengthy, so we want people to come stay with us for a multi-year journey, and continuity in some of these areas. It's key and for us to continue kind of moving the frontier. So that's another thing that I would say when it comes to building your ML organization. What are you offering to this talent that will want to come work for you and actually stay with you for a meaningful part of their career?
Okay, so Tulia, you talked about investing in your technology, infrastructure. So, what about vendors? Like, how do you choose which vendors? Like, how do you choose between like Google Vertex AI or Data Robot or Databricks or Amazon SageMaker, or and do you use many different vendors and for different things? And how do you knit that all together? And I have the impression that you're more or less vendor agnostic, and you get the best technology for the best for the job. So could you talk about that process?
Great question. Okay, so we as a company, call it the beginnings of the day, we were pretty what we call a build shop. So we were pretty heavy on building, and I think that was the right thing at that point in time, and just given the offering that at least in the ML space was out there. So we have seen a rapid growth of this third party offering. Call it the last 2 years. It's been pretty evident in the last 2023. It's been just like pretty like visible, the growth of the offering. And we are consistently asking ourselves, okay, so if we're talking about a net new capability, then there is you go through the whole evaluation of build, buy, hybrid. And when I say hybrid, it's what do you build because it's what do you buy because it's commodity, and then is there an opportunity for differentiation on top of that? Like what is the thing that will set you apart for that particular problem space? If you were to say, hey, 80% of this, I think I can get it through commodity offering, which is generally what comes with a third party offering, and then what can I build on top of that? So, and you are right in terms of we go out there looking for who has the best offering. So we almost see it as a learning opportunity, like what it's in the market and to solve the problems that we have. I think then it comes a layer of then integration into our ecosystem. So we are a Google shop, and so we are in the Google Cloud, and that definitely put a like if you think about the offering, the ease of integration, all the things that go into this is going to be a durable and a long-term partnership that we are looking to establish, then those factors start playing. So it's being the best offer in the market, it's a factor. And we also see the longevity of these partnerships as a mechanism of saying, hey, even if there is something out there that outperform in some areas, we can use that to inform your roadmap. So we see ourselves pretty much with a lot of vendors as we want to be a partner as you're building your product, rather than a transactional relation of, I buy a service from you, to keep going, etc. So that's kind of the flavor that we have taken into third party. We have quite a bit of what we call research partnerships or build partnerships, which gets into the we are beta users of something, or we are early on with you developing a new feature and for your offering, and that help us to actually shape your product in a way that is pretty beneficial for us, and but also take advantage of what is out there.
Good. So our next question is, I guess, what are some things that you kind of already touched on this, especially when we're talking about the chairs and trying to figure out online what kind of chair do I want? What are some things that customers see daily that are powered by Wayfair's machine learning?
So this question, it always makes me smile because it's pretty much everything. So like the way that I usually put it, it's from the ad that gets shown to you that say Wayfair, and in when you're reading your newspaper, or when you are scrolling in Instagram or whatever, to the emails that you receive every day, if you happen to already know us and be a subscriber to our email list, the content, the ordering, the cadence, like how frequently we do it, to once you land on our website, and what should we show you, and in which order should I show it to you, the filters, like what are the things that you engage the most, and when it comes to navigating our catalog, that that it's very large, it's hard to describe in words many times, a very visual in category. All of that, it's powered by machine learning. From how we think about the promise that we are making to you that this is going to arrive in 2 days, like in the moment you arrive to one of our product pages, we want to make sure that you're seeing it, and you're also seeing, hey, it's going to come really fast to me. And all of those decisions are powered today by machine learning algorithms.
Okay, so Tulia, what are your thoughts on open source models versus private?
Great question. And so I'm going to answer, basically, we use open source quite a bit. The flexibility that open source give us to actually go into this hybrid approach of, you take what is out there, the best of what is out there, and then you actually add a differentiation factor for your own data, your specific applications. That's for us, it's been kind of our mode of operation. And as the private offering, especially in the last year, 2 years, like what we call the closed offering, has like strengthened quite strong. We are in some cases using directly off the shelf from the private offering. So pretty much going back to one of your previous questions, we're assessing the things that are out there, and we see open source as something that has historically given us a lot of flexibility for customization, a lot of flexibility to understand what is out there. We see generally a fast follow from the private offering to open source. So things that were released 2-3 years ago become they have an open source version 2 years after. So that's something that we follow pretty closely. But today, pretty sizable bulk of our applications are actually using open source, for example, foundation models.
So one thing that you've spoken a little bit about has been Wayfair journey, and I know when we spoke, you kind of talked a little bit about, I guess, the market's journey. So I kind of wondered, how has that been the same journey as Wayfair kind of shifted a little bit from the market's journey when it comes to machine learning?
The way that I see ourselves is like we're pretty early adopters of enterprise use cases of machine learning. So going back to the beginning of the story. So I think at that point in time, you could argue we were, on the outlier side of how early we were in terms of ML powering, not being, a toy that, we have people, playing with, but actually powering actually decision making. I think a key differentiation for Wayfair in that journey has been the executive buy-in. So executive machine learning as a thing that will drive better business. And there is something in the Wayfair culture around entrepreneurship. So I spoke a little bit about our initial, pretty build type of culture that foster a lot of this. No problem is too big for us. Let's go and try to figure it out. I think as the journey of, I think, machine learning, basically the industry have evolved, and we have needed to evolve with that journey in terms of the offering out there. It's pretty massive, and then that starts shifting your, hey, how much do we actually need to build ourselves versus actually tap that pretty rich offering of third party out there, and what are the things that truly are going to be differentiation. So it goes less into what, like your instinct to, I have a problem, I'm going to build something for that, to just start thinking about, I have a problem and I know there is a rich offering out there. How do I think about differentiation for Wayfair? Your initial assumption in how to, leverage the external offering, basically became your primary assumption. And I think that's been basically us adapting to the evolution of the industry, like an industry that just became extremely rich from, platform offering to applications. That is, it's hard to, detangle. Like, I mean, it will not be, financially reasonable to detangle ourselves from tapping on that offering. The key then for us these days is basically thinking of, on top of that, then how do we differentiate ourselves? That's pretty much how I think our journey has merged, or have evolved and adapt to the evolution of the field.
Okay, so you're mainly, I see you as a machine learning person, but generative AI has exploded, and I know Esther did a story on you last year, Wayfair, how you started testing it, and you had groups across departments testing. And are you involved in any of that? And can you tell us how you're experimenting with or using Gen AI, and if so, how do you mitigate the risks and dangers of it?
Okay, great. So I'll start by, yes, super involved in some of the efforts. Just a bit of context on how we have been thinking about it at Wayfair. We were already leveraging a lot of the key elements that are powering some of these generative AI applications. So from foundation models to transformer architecture. So that allow us, when there was this, boom of democratization, public eye, all on, these technologies, call it, quote unquote, ChatGPT, and to have a pretty pragmatic reaction to it, just saying, hey, we are familiar with a lot of the components that are here. There are already actually many of them powering, and some of our applications. So, and how do we react in a way that helping the organization navigate the growing offering? And for that, we created, a center that we call a Gen AI console that help actually saying, hey, now these tools are available to anybody in our organization. How can we help navigate the changing legal landscape, data ownership landscape, but also the adoption of, some of these productivity tools within our organization. So that kind of familiarity allows to be able to say, okay, we understand enough of the power of what is coming, because we have been actually leveraging in many dimensions. How do we help the rest of the organization to actually leverage this in a way that is productive for Wayfair? Then the question again went back to where are the applications that are ready to start using the off-the-shelf offering? So a lot of productivity, like how do we make our service and sales agents more productive? How do we enable them features that make them do their job faster? And so those were some of the initial use cases that we start tapping on and are actively working on. And then thinking through how do we protect from the risks that will come from hallucinations, that would come from the unknowns that we had on some of the emerging properties of these technologies. And then our approach to it has been a lot of human in the loop validations before we actually put anything in front of a user, and a lot of basically internal use cases. So this agent gets supported and can do their job a lot faster, and can go through a lot more of the duties. But our customer actually still get human. It's behind that experience that we are providing our customers. So that mix of use the technology to elevate productivity, but then still have a lot of risk mitigation around it, and to offer the best experience to customers. It's been a bit of the pragmatic hybrid approach that we have taken to it.
So one of the things you mentioned is you have this kind of like experimental phase where you have like models that you are like you look at and then you say, okay, this is open to use. And then you mentioned trying to having human in the loop. I one thing that I wonder is, are there specific models? Can you mention some of the specific models that you guys have used or are using? And then another thing is, there's been a lot of like copyright cases, and Wayfair is very pretty, especially when you go into the website. Like it's very pretty, like in terms of image wise. Are you guys worried about copyright at all? Or are you even using models that are kind of involved in the copyright case? What are your thoughts on that?
As I mentioned, we are Google Shop, so we are using a lot of their offering in LLMs, in multimodal, so image and text. And so think about the Google suite of these models. We're also using open source Llama 2, and we're doing quite a bit of experiments there. And we are also, tapping in some of our experiments with OpenAI. Like we are basically benchmarking the offering that is out there. So pretty much, from the open source offering to, and Google, OpenAI, and we are experimenting. So and we are in that stage of trying to form a perspective on how will we evolve, thinking about like long-term partnerships, but also pretty big on relying on the open source in offering.
Are you worried about copyright at all?
That was the second part of the question. So, we are extremely thoughtful around copyright. So we have our legal team. It's pretty present in our Gen AI console. Those are things that use cases that are coming in secondary phases are those use cases in which factors like copyright risk and become more relevant. So right now we're pretty much focused on things that are elevating productivity of internal users, and then thinking about those that will imply who owns the data, but watching pretty carefully the regulatory landscape on that space. So definitely in the pipe for us to tackle and leverage appropriately, but pretty cognizant on the risk that exists on us basically starting to produce content that may be at odds with copyright regulation.
So going back to Gen AI and LLMs just a little bit, I understood that you're using in a lot of the customer service agent side of your business. But I wonder, is there any in the consumer facing side, like maybe more sophisticated chatbots, or are you using any Gen AI behind the scenes as well? So is it more outward facing or more inside your enterprise?
Great question. In the initial phase, which is where we are, and everything in like when it comes to conversational, it's behind the walls. It's not hitting directly our customers. It's supporting an agent that is actually having that conversation with our customers. So that's that's the phase in which we are. I think if we go beyond Gen AI and we think about foundation models, which are basically these large models that are powering a lot of these generative applications, we do have a lot of predictive applications that today are hitting directly our customers. So going back to as I was talking about the filters, like you're looking for red sofas, you're looking for a Scandinavian modern etc type of love seat. And those today are powered by some of the multimodal foundation models, like how we build, those tags, and it's leveraging foundation models. So there is customer-facing applications in the predictive realm. In the generative realm, we are still very much, a wall behind how we are supporting our sales agents. It's not only service sales or service agents.
So one quick follow up. You mentioned multimodal. So is there anything in the works where maybe the consumer could say, please show me a picture of what this looks like? I'm looking for such and such, or do you already have that?
So we already have that. So if the specifics on like, I want to search in something that looked like this thing that I saw in my neighbor's, house. And we already have that as the piece of technology. Or sales agents are empowered to use that. They have it in, as part of their suite. In the customer facing website right now, we don't have the feature live. We used to have it, and that it, we took it out, but it's something that we are actually actively working to bring back some visual experiences that and help customers find products using both modalities, like asking questions, showing pictures, all together, and trying to help them to find faster what they're looking for their home.
Decorify. I don't know if you're familiar with your Decorify product, right?
I am familiar with our Decorify product.
Can you speak a little bit about that and how Gen AI kind of plays with that?
I mean, the underlying technology for Decorify, it's generative. I think we are seeing Decorify as tying this to Sean as our first product out there, and trying to help our customers think about exploring the Wayfair catalog in a way that match like their design needs. Like they are, you have a real house, you have a picture, and then we have a huge catalog. How do we help you to actually put our catalog in a way that it's living in your home in a virtual way, help you to actually make those decisions in around not one piece but pieces that come together to create the look that you're looking for. So that's that's our we tipping our toes in this self-serving design experiences that I think are going to be like pretty suitable for like our space. Like it's like how you buy for home at the core require inspiration, and that's kind of what we're trying to get at with Decorify.
Okay, so you're already doing a lot with machine learning. I mean, a huge amount, permeating your entire operation. Also, when you use the LLMs even before the popular explosion of Gen AI. Now you are experimenting with some of these open source and other LLMs. What does the future hold? Like in 5 years, what will Wayfair be a completely AI company? What's your plan going forward?
I mean, for us, it's been as I say, since the beginning of we see it pretty much as a core capability that is meshed in any of our experiences. And when we're thinking about moving forward, like how can we go big on like pretty exciting ways of shopping for your home, like how if you think about decor, like next term of something like Decorify is like how can we exploit that, the fact that we have a pretty inspiration visual category to have our customers super engaged on our website. Like you come here to actually have fun, you end up buying things for your home, but like this is just a pretty engaging experience that we love for homes. Like homes is where we spend a pretty sizable amount of of incomes, and making that it's not the place where you transactionally come and buy a pillow, but like you come here literally just to relax, fun, think about new ideas for a new room that you are decorating, or even existing things in your home. So that I think that how do we nail that, like how do we transform how you shop for your home, and with leveraging a lot of this like rapidly evolving offering on multimodal capabilities. It's probably where I see us again, pretty much from a machine learning point of view, and trying to unlock value for us from there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I kind of feel like it's kind of gonna change a lot, especially because the technology is moving so quickly that this is kind of like a bonus question, but talking about multimodal, do we kind of see perhaps machine learning weaving in even with like maybe XR, VR, and stuff like that? As Wayfair looking into stuff like that?
For me, it's a no-brainer. Like that's gonna happen. It's happening already. I think it's more the we're still figuring out as as an industry the monetization components of this. The how is this gonna become truly part of how people make decisions in their life and do things. It's definitely something that it's already there. It's more like the how does this become mesh in the day to day of our society. So, but I definitely see that something that would happen.
Along with that, though, maybe metaverse. Maybe that is that a part. Is do you see that as just an extension of XR and VR? I mean, Do you see metaverse in your future too?
Last year I reported a lot on the metaverse and like
Yeah.
I feel like you guys are in the furniture business, and the way you're talking about machine learning, it's kind of like a no-brainer. That's why I asked about XR/VR, that we are kind of moving into that field where if I want to buy my furniture, I want to see how it's going to look in my house. So what better way is it going to look unless I'm looking at it through a VR XR glasses?
So abstracting from specific products, and I do think it's going to be part of our future, like just like from a like purely like pretty altruistic applications of education, like teaching medical doctors how to do things, to actually these experiences of you know immerse yourself in a virtual version of your home and actually um play with it, like explore, become your own home designer. And I do think it's going to get there. I think for me it's more it's going to be a journey in terms of how, if you balance the cost to get there, who and how we're going to pave the way for that. So a tangible example for me related is actually searching with photo. Like if you think about, like, it's been around for quite a while. We used to have that feature on our website, but the adoption of these features, it's taking a lot longer than and now with Google Lens, pretty much it's growing so rapidly, like the people feeling comfortable making it part of their day to day. I take a picture, I try to find this and on the internet, that is naturally gonna accelerate adoption of some of these technologies for players like us. So I think that it's gonna be part of a version of it is gonna be part of our day to day life. I feel pretty strong about it. How we are gonna get there? Like, is it gonna be similar to Google Lens? A pretty big player paving the path of adoption, changing how the bulk of the customer base engage with those technologies. I think it's going to be a journey, and it's going to have that type of flavor.
Thank you so much, Julia. Very interesting conversation. Really appreciate your time. And we hope you can join us next time as the machine learning and generative AI space continues to grow. But thank you. It has been such a pleasure having you on this podcast. We really love it. For our listeners, please feel free to go to wayfair.com for all your furniture needs. And catch up with Tulia on LinkedIn. If you are listening to this podcast and you like it, please just leave us a review or give us 5 stars wherever listening to it from. But we hope to see you next time on the Targeting AI.
Thank you, Esther and Sean. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to today's podcast. Please remember to share on your favorite social media platform and leave a review. For more on today's topic, please check out the TechTarget News website.